my trajectory is about DJing and producing. So I've been DJing a lot, touring a lot, almost everywhere in the world, in the clubs, that are still like famous, and producing a lot. Okay, producing as a DJ, as a producer, and also through my label La Vie en Rose, that has been like quite a nice success. In 2020, when the COVID arrived, it was like the transition for many of us. I mean, trajectory were a little bit unstable, and so I have to change. I fight with my family, artistic family in Paris. So I was like, okay, so maybe I can try now transmit or give all my expertise, try to synthesize all the things I've been doing to my label, to my production, to my DJing life, and try to synthesize everything and try to give this to the next generation, no, the typical one. So so I've been teaching a lot online. I've been doing like some classes, teaching the master production musical here in the SAE here in Madrid. Okay, some people are coming. Boom, boom, and lately, boom, 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 super. And lately, hi everyone. And lately, I was still doing this. And lately, I've been organizing that small mentoring session that I call Smart Operation. That maybe I will check with you at the end of this masterclass. But let's talk about sound, no? Because if you're here, it's hi Julien, hi Jeremy. So let's talk about sound because if you're here, is to maybe to correct, to progress into some aspects. Maybe you searching, and most of the time into the music we do, club music. Me, I'm all the time. I'm accepting all the people. I'm really focused into club music, no, any kind of club music, but basically, if you know me, minimal house, minimal deep tech, all that kind of genre. But it's most of them are still the same, but they have to put some name on this style. But we are doing like club music, cool, nice underground music. So I make this vote this week, and you all choose about how kick and bass will be like the how you can have like the best relation between your kick and your bass. It's kind of a really really long topic, like infinite, like complex, because it's the most important thing for us. Like as a DJ producer of clubbing music, we have to get that kick and that bass perfectly together. And trust me, it's like like a part of my life, to understand how they behave together, no, how they talk each other, no, the king and the queen, as all the time I'm saying, So as this track was working really well, Enzo Siragusa was like playing this track. I was like super surprised. Logica, that has been like releasing into the Spanish label GNGS record label Velvet. I say, okay, so maybe we're gonna make like a breakdown on that kick and bass because they are like quite fat in this track and working well. So we're gonna try to see that today. Maybe you're gonna learn something, and maybe you're gonna see the way I'm doing that kind of things. So I'm accepting at all the people, and maybe we're gonna check that. So maybe like I'm gonna share with you my session, the way I've been doing it. Also, I have the PDF of that I'm going to share with you directly in the chat. It is the PDF of the way all the time I'm engineering, I'm mixing my kick and bass, but it's not a magical formula. Okay, any environment, any ecosystem, any style, sometimes it's a bit different. It's more or less the same. There is that kind of protocol rules, if I can say, but it's not a magical formula. But I tried to stay like the most consistent, try to summarize exactly the same thing I'm doing all the time for me and for some clients. Okay, so let me share that PDF with you, and we go directly to the sound after. Do visual asset, kick and bass chain. It's here, so you can download it. It's quite like I try to do it like exactly the same way. Exactly the same way. We're gonna see it into the project now. Okay. So thanks for joining, and let's go. So let's try to dive a little bit deeper into that kick and bass. I'm going to open my Ableton, which is open already, and let's try to dive into that Ableton. Share audio. Boom, boom, boom. Okay. So if you see the before I put the sound, because I'm going to put the sound, but just to explain it a little bit, the context. Two things before we start this. Really important for me, since I've been producing since 7, 8 years, and maybe it's the same for you. The guys are a little bit like older, but for my generation, you already things like that. Try when you're going to choose your timbre, your kick and bass, and after your drums, try to have like the best combination possible. Okay. So when I'm saying best combination possible, it can be like natural, but sometimes we are fighting because we are like attracted by a resonance or sound, a color, or a transient that really like charming. But sometimes we are like fighting to get them together. Why? Because most of the time, me, the way I'm thinking is like, if I'm going to use like a subby kick, for example, an 808 kick with a long tail, for example, for sure, I'm not going to use a bass or a sub in that range frequency, something too subby, okay? Because I don't have the studio at 3,000 euros a day. I don't have the speakers. I'm most of the time like working with my things. And I'm not going to be able to equalize well that kind of two timbres really subby together. So if I go with a subby kick, for sure, there's like 90% of chance that I'm going to use like a medium bass line with not so much low end information. Okay, it's going to be hard all the time. It's going to be hard. The opposite, to have the same quantity of sub and low information is going to be hard to equalize. So if I go with a subby kick, let's try to have like a medium bass line. Okay, for example, when I say medium, I can say like a 303 or something that is not too subby. So try to choose the right timbre. If I go with a kick a little bit more medium with no so much 20, 30, 40 hertz of frequency information that I can really control, because I can really control. You can buy any plugin on the web, but you can't control this. Me, I try to let them. I don't try to cut. I try to let all this frequency, because it's the DNA, it's the body of the signal that I don't want to cut. But if I go with a 909 kick, a little bit more medium, for example, or something like, I don't know, like I will go with a baseline a little bit more subby, with a little bit of more low information, to have that combination first, without treating, without equalizing, without compressing, just to have the right timbre. It have to sound well without nothing. Okay, and after you go a little bit more to sculpt, equalize, homogenize, try to have them a little bit more better. This is more or less the way all the time I'm thinking of a kick and bass line. Try to choose the right timbre. It's really important. Some question. We're gonna go. In terms of sound in 2 minutes. And the second thing also, try to don't go with too much library. Library, they're going to take out your beauty, take out your charm, take out the magic. Okay, it's cool to have some library sometime, like to make a track, but you're gonna sound with most of the 90% of producers doing the same thing like So library, it's nice, but sometimes the kick and bassline, it's already cut, it's already treated. They all went into really, really expensive studio. And there's nothing to equalize, there's nothing to balance, there's nothing to mix, there's nothing to engineer, nothing to choose. There's no decision. I prefer really to have some hardware. Maybe you can go with a sample, but the sample recorded by you with your sound card. We want some default. We want some MIDI to cut after. We want some life. Okay, library, there's no life. Everything is like linear, full of zero, really clean, digital, and it's not working. It's not working like a. You're not going to have that punch, because the punch come also sometimes from the moodiness, from the unexpected. Okay, so if everything is expected, it's not going to work properly. Okay, so this is the two philosophy with kick and bass before going on the treatment. Okay, really important. We'll go on Q&A. What I'm saying in the chat. We'll go on Q&A after. Okay, so let's go. Let me know if everyone has the sound, and I go with my thing, and let's go. So you have this kick, for example. You have this kick from Jomox. The kick of Logica. If you saw like lately my Instagram story, so you have this track banging boiler room. And it's not really loud, but the kick of the Jomox, for example, like Jomox most of the time, if you can buy like a second-hand Jomox drum machine, you have all the time like 4 or 5 sound made by oscillation. So it's a real pure synthesis of drums, but the real one, not the Roland last thing, blah, blah, blah. And you have also some samples, 8-bit samples. So you have this sound. So this kick has been done with Jomox, like if you was doing like a synthesis, with a bassline. Okay, so this is the Jomox kick. Okay, so you remember also like the little background. Okay, you remember that if you check all my things, all my tutorial and all that kind of thing, there's no rules, guys, huh? But this is the thing I'm doing it me. It's personal and it's working. It's working for me, for my client all the time. I
think we don't have the sound.
You don't have sound?
I do not. I think.
Okay, let's go. Sorry. Now you have the sound. Yes? Everything's okay? Yes?
Yes, all good.
Oh, super. Super nice. So let's jump into the Logica. So that kick of Jomox, as I said, was like pure synthesis, analog type of vibe. I really like the synthesis of Jomox. The guys who made Jomox is amazing. It's not exactly like the Roland from the 90s, but it has this punch, this raw, this pure signal. So I went with my Jomox. Okay. Here I make my mono field, and the things I was saying. It's like I like to have my kick starting at -10 all the time. Between -10 can be -8, -9, -7, -6. -6 will be like really loud, really. It will be like something like sometimes I will probably not doing it because it's gonna be loud. And after, this is the first thing you have to know also, that the first thing that is gonna hit the limiter, no? That's gonna hit the first C wheel. So be careful. We're starting with a kick at -6. I think -10 is quite the average. To start, because after, if you want to send your pre-master between -3, -6, adding some layers is going to be like the first good starting point. But it's personal. I really like to do it this way, and it's working since I'm transmitting, since I'm producing, maybe more than 10 years. I really all the time starting with my kick at -10. So, and also if you're following me, I don't like to touch my faders. I like to have my faders all at 0 dB working in the box, because I like to have like the maximum definition of the sound. I don't like to go like this, and like that. I prefer to have both, not both, but everyone at the same level to get the maximum definition. It will be like, if I would do like a metaphor, it would be like to get the maximum pixels, the maximum definition of any sound. Okay. Of course, if you're like in a real studio, you can do some relief and play with the fader because it's electricity. It's not the same. But in the box, I like to have my faders like this. So if I want to have my fader like this, I will use an utility to ubicate, to put the right value for each signal. But the only protocol we have here is the kick and bass. Kick and bass is going to be like the protagonist. Okay. So I go with this kick. I really like to use the equality. I'm not going to change the kick, because this kick is the kick I chose. can you cut the mic because I have a little baby like. So if I choose this kick, it's because I love it. I'm not going to change it that much. I'm just going to be like a little bit like smooth here to clean a little bit of frequency, the typical 12 dB slop, 20 hertz to make a little bit of to clean a little bit like the low end. Okay. So I'm gonna go like this. Can you please? There is like. Can you please cut Beauty? ¿Puedes cortar el micro, porfa?
Sí.
Gracias, Beauty. Gracias. So if I choose this kick, it's okay, Beauty? Yes? Thanks a lot. Yes, thank you. So if I choose this kick, it's because I love the way he's doing it. Most of the time, I'm gonna sculpt my bass line in function of the kick. The kick, I'm not going to touch that much. I'm going to clean it, but I'm not going to use it. I'm not going to change it that much. I don't want to change it. This kick, I know how it is. I know how he's doing. I know the way he's like moving. I know his movement. I don't want to touch that much the original DNA of that kick. Okay. We will see after the way I'm using sus. It's optional. It's optional as I'm putting as I wrote it on the program. But we will see after. Okay. So and a Q3, normal Q3, like this. I make a little cut at 180 because Jomox have a lot of information into that place. So I will probably not doing it if I have a big snare, if I have a small clap or nothing hitting at that range frequency. But as I have my snare coming, I make a little correction here. Okay. After where I've been like working a lot, of course, it is on my bassline. Bassline is coming also from a GP 8000 analog one. I'm gonna cut this. Okay. So my bassline have been with a lot of work. Okay. Bassline, the same fader at 0 dB. I've been doing that kind of thing. Why? This you will probably know. You know, I did this because I went on my fundamental, you know, and the fundamental of the kick was like here, you know, between 60 hertz, you know. If you go with your span, high resolution, mid side function, okay, you're gonna see like the fundamental of the kick is between 60 hertz. So I quit on the bassline those 60 hertz, okay? Here, okay, like 59, 60, okay? And I went also to another fundamental that was like doing a bit of spike into the mix. If you listen to it, it's the harmonic, boom, boom. So I've been also cutting this one. Even if there was like no major conflict with the kick, just to have it a little bit more natural, okay? So this is the stable one, like subtractive, the one I'm gonna correct, okay? After, I'm doing all the time the same, you know. I'm gonna search the conflict with the kick Jomox. If you go on your Q3,
Wi-Fi.
You probably all using Q3. You go.
Want me to tell you what's happening?
Can you cut?
Okay, so he's doing the.
Can you cut the micro, Vale? Because we are hearing you. So if you're using the Q3, also you're gonna see where the bassline is gonna
the bassline is going to come.
Going to clash with the.
It's going to clash a little bit.
Okay. Can you cut your mic because we are hearing you? Sorry. It's okay. Do you hear me, Vale? Thank you. No problem. So yes, this is the magical function, you know, where you're gonna have all the time, you know, the typical one. Everyone knows that function, you know, like Q3, all the unit in your Q3 project, you're gonna detect all the masking frequency where all the people are like all the signal are like fighting between each other, okay? So typical one. I didn't touch here. I did the fundamental of the kick. I reduced the fundamental of the kick on that bass line dynamically, okay? So, and of course, if you want, if you need it, you can put it on only on the mid, okay? Because what? Because this bass line also, really nice tips for you guys today. This bass line have some stereo information, have some side. I'm gonna check it now. So if you do that chorus thing, the chorus is not working. I had some chorus here, but it's okay. I'm gonna put another one. So if I want to have my bass line with a little bit of stereo, okay? Okay, so now I have a bit of stereo on my bass line. I want to keep that stereo intact, okay? If I go on the side, boom, boom. Okay, so here is not, let's add some stereo here, maybe a little bit. Let's try to have a bit of side like it was. So now we have a bit of stereo information. We don't want to duck that stereo information with the kick. The kick have to duck only the mid of your bass line. Sometimes it can be like really like a game changer when you're doing your sidechain thing between kick and bass line. So us, we are working only on the bass line. We don't want to touch the kick that much. We've been like cutting fundamental on the bass line, okay? At 60 Hertz on the fundamental of the kick, okay? We've been reducing also the same frequency dynamically into mid mode, only on the center of the bass line, because that bass line have some stereo information. And also, if I'm gonna trig my bass line, because I want to have my bass line a little bit glued to my kick, I'm gonna activate here the mid function of my C2. If there's a mid function here into the sidechain section, is because there is a reason. Okay, so I try to activate the mid sidechain function, and the kick is gonna only trig the center of the bass line. So the stereo is gonna stay intact. It's not going to be like fighting with all the center things. It can be a details, but when it's like really amplified into a club, you're gonna feel it. Okay. Nothing crazy, attack really fast, look ahead, activate. For the release thing, I showed you on the program, try to go on the Thomas delay calculator. It's like made for the old hardware thing. It's going to give you the perfect release time. If you want to release if you want to have the exact release of your compression, when your kick is triggering your bass line, you can go on Thomas. It's a delay calculator that you have on the web, and it's going to give you exactly the value, you know. So now we are like at 126. It will be around 30 milliseconds or something like that. Okay. Try to deactivate auto gain, and if there is like some, I'm not compressing that much. I can be a little bit more drastic, and if there is like some unequal amplitude here, because here this is the input signal, and here this is the compressed signal. So me, I like to deactivate the auto gain and adjust my compressed signal to have it exactly equal with my output gain. Here, working really well. And this one is so transparent. I'm not compressing that much because I've been choosing well my kick and bass line. Okay. Even if the kick was really subby, that bass line was a little bit more into 60, 70, 80 hertz, as the kick is a little bit more subby, big, you know, like this, you know. So it would be like more or less the way I will sidechain my bass line with my kick. Okay, I'm not compressing that much. Okay, attack really fast. The release of the compressor. I wanted to tell you also this. It will be like the groove of your compression. So you're gonna trig your bass line with the kick, and also after you can adjust the movement of that compression. It will be with the release. You know, it will be like exactly the the thing like that door open and close all the time, you know. So if you want to feel also the color of the compression, it will be with the release, you know. Release is really like really important because it's going to be like the groove of the compression, okay. And really important thing, I repeat it. If you like triggering your bassline, if the bassline has some stereo information while the kick is completely mono, so the kick is completely mono, you know. If we go here, it's completely mono, okay. But the bassline have some stereo information. We want to trigger only the mono, the mono, not the side of the bassline, to have them perfect, okay. So and of course, if the bassline is only mono, do not activate your mid side function here. But here is really useful to duck only the center of your bassline. Okay, really important. Also, I put it optional into the PDF. It's nice also to have a little bit of definition with the MB. Okay. I didn't do it in my project. I wanted to show you here in the masterclass, but sometimes I'm doing it. It's giving a little bit more cohesion, more some things on the bassline. So the kick is triggering the bassline a little bit into like a mid-side mode also. If external from that kick drumbox, mid-side, okay? Only the mid, the center of your bassline into a compress mode, not expand. You don't want to expand the sound. You want to compress. You want to release it. You want to compress it. Sorry. And Pro MB is nice. Okay. And I use Pro MB to tell you that track spacer. I know that you all of you are using track spacer from Wave Factory. Track spacer is nice. Okay. When the chain is done, not at the beginning, because it quits some information, you know. So at that time, for example, I would have been maybe instead of C2 and Pro MB, I would have a track spacer and it's okay. It's okay, but when you're hearing it in the studio or a little bit louder with a lot of volume, track spacer is much more like to make some space as it says, no? So it's good to have a track spacer at the end of the chain, you know. So Pro MB is working well in that time. There's not so much conflict in that case, huh? But Pro MB is working well. It gives you a late polish, a late something, you know, on your bassline. So we have something like this. We are like super nice because we are like at minus 7, minus 6 with the snare. So the snare is taking like 1 or 2 dB, but I want to have that snare loud, you know. So also really nice things. If you see all the tutorial, all the things in the web, when they are talking about SUS2, they told us to put SUS2 into a sidechain mode and with the kick as a trigger. So the kick has to trigger the bassline, and the bassline is reducing a lot. I like to do it the opposite. I like to trigger my kick with the bass. So the bass is coming in here. You know what is SUS2? SUS2 at the end of the day is like frequency dependent, harshness, resonance. You know, so everywhere there is some space, SUS is gonna fill with the other signal into like a sidechain mode. So really nice to have like that pro result at the end of a mix down, at the end of a mastering, to quit a little bit some harshness, to quit some undesirable high hand, or to make a little bit of more cohesion on your mid, on your kick and bass line. And also as a sidechain with the sidechain function, you can get a little bit more something, you know. SUS2 is really magic, you know. Oxsound, SUS2 and Spliff, the transient plugin, is also really amazing. Okay. So I like to use SUS2 in that case, and most of the time the opposite. I saw many tutorials. I also went on the PDF of Oxsound and said do it with the kick. I like to do it the opposite because now is my bass line triggering my kick. So this is the bass line coming in. You know, I didn't exaggerate. I would have put like maybe like over oversample by 4 to make it a little bit more, even better. Hard on a hard mode, you know, and not to exaggerate that much. But in that way, you know, me with my here now, it will be exactly the same sensation I had on my studio working on Logica, working on kick, bassline, and snare, you know, because today we focus on that because this is the most important thing, you know, like even like if I want to put myself also into a mastering mode, I will go with my I don't know if you know this trick. I will go with, this is the thing we also cover into the mentoring, you know. But if I want to listen what is going to clash, what is going to be like the most conflictual part when I'm going to master this track, when I'm going to limit this track to play it in a club, you have this function here really useful on the L2. So if you push a little bit the signal, you're gonna listen that kick and snare mostly like all the time. Sometimes it can be different, can be a voice depending on the style of music you do. But kick and snare now are like clashing, you know. Okay. So I know that if I want to have like that way, exactly the same thing I'm doing now, to have my track at -8 to play it on the club, maybe I will reduce before all the conflictual part. I'm gonna deselect this, and maybe I will try to work a little bit here, you know, just maybe to limit it well. And you see that snare was like it was the first signal that hitting the limiter, okay? And I will go a little bit like this dynamically. I like to have like a small cut here, small correction, then try to make them pump. Really important. Okay? And maybe also, if I want to limit it, I will never limit it like more than 2 dB or something like that. I will go with my clipper, something like that. I will try to clip a little bit my sound, add some saturation to make the clip even more natural. And that way, my limiter will work much better. Okay? So now I'm putting the sound, I'm gonna quit this. So I'm hitting like, you know, like I'm only putting 1 dB of limitation, which is like so much air. And I'm cool, you know, because I'm clipping before. So that's the way I went on that, because we were focused on kick, bass, and snare. The most conflicting part, the signal that they're gonna hit the limiter, the most conflicting signal in terms of mastering and limitation and high amplitude, you know. So really important. That kind of thing. After what I have my ghost here. Here's my shaker. This is other things I've been like did it for the masterclass. So now you know it's like I can play this track. Of course there is not all the elements, but I like hitting -8, -9 without destroying my mix. Okay? Because I've been aware of my clashing frequency before by listening it here, doing it sometime. It's cool to mix also, like this is the first 3 class of the smart operation mentoring. It's cool to mix into the limiter, to see where you go, even if it's not you that is gonna master the track. It's cool to see where the track is going. It's cool to see that maybe you didn't check the transient, maybe you didn't change some things that are gonna clash the mix, you know, when you put it that high amplitude. So go here, try to push a little bit the track with a clipper behind to stay like with some breath, with some air, with some space, because at the end of the day, I will say that loudness is about space you're gonna make between all signals. More space you have between all signals, more the limiter is gonna act naturally with a good sound, you know. Of course, there's not so much element here, but those elements will be like the most conflictual one, kick and bass line, because low frequency, the frequency that repeat like really slowly, are occupying the the 70%, I would say 70% of the mix, you know, and all the other signal that's located into the mid frequency, high frequency. In our type of music, clubbing music, it's a bit like secondary for me. It's a bit secondary for me. I will focus directly on kick, bass, and snare. Okay, that kind of thing. Okay, so bass will be the chain. You will have all the chain also in the PDF I shared. I think it's here. Let me check the PDF with you if I forgot something to tell you. Yes. So you have all the things we saw. Yes, we start like this. Choose your timbre. Try to have some sample, real sample. Also, I forgot to tell you, me since 15 years, all my center is made with analog sound. I don't try to have like some digital or Ableton library or Logic library or library. I try to get some samples from a vinyl. I try to have like my hardware working. I like to have my mono field, which most of the time is kick and bass line, analog, entre comillas, but real, not from library or things like that. So fundamental, you know, we've been quitting the fundamental of the kick to that bass. Q3 dynamic mode, you know already, all of you, you know already that function. Also, you have like I forgot to put the C2. You know, the C2 is not here. So if you use the C2, go with the Thomas. I can put the link here. Go with the Thomas delay calculator, and when you enter the BPM, it's going to give you exactly the release you're going to use. If you go out 1 by 64 note, it's going to give you exactly the release you're gonna use on your compressor to have like that compression natural and groovy. The release is the groove of the compression. You have the trigger, kick, and also after you can orchestrate, you can punctuate that triggering with the release. Release is the groove of the compression delay calculator, and you go on beam, you go on this one. Okay. What else? I forgot to put the C2, but you have it. I will send you the project. Glue and clarity with the Pro MB. So go on you see the Pro MB. Maybe I went a little bit fast with the Pro MB. I'm going to buy here. Pro MB is good to have it like, you see it now, yes. Pro MB is good to have it like, try to have it like, I didn't put it, but try to have it with a slope at minus 12 dB to have like a sweet slope, the pente of the filter, you know, to have a filter like sweet, you know, for the low, for everything in that range frequency. I'm all the time using like 12 dB slope, you know. Try to go on the mid here, boom, boom, external, and compressing a little bit, you know, with that range frequency, not to exaggerate, to have a bit of cohesion. Pro MB is so transparent, okay? And also, I forgot to tell you something, but this is more for the mix. I put also like a Pro MB for the snare clash kick and bass, but it was like different. To finish my kick and bass investigation, there is also a really nice cool trick. If you still feel that your kick and bass are not together, of course, you're going to see like a 700 tutorial on YouTube that says, yeah, but put a compressor on the kick and the bass and everything is come together. Yes, but for commercial music, for EDM, not for house or minimal house or house music, we don't want to compress the kick anymore. We want to kick intact. Me, I don't like to compress my kick. Okay, so I go with a FDR. You know, FDR is a compression, frequency dependent ratio. Can be also nice tips for you sometimes if you're not still not using it. I think I have it here. Yes, I have it here. So the Kotelnikov GE and most of the, now since 5-6 years, there's some compression using that function. That function allows us to choose any frequency range here and still going into the compression, but for a ratio from 1 to 1. 1 to 1, it means like for 1 dB in, you have 1 dB out. It means like in our case, the kick will still orchestrate the compression without losing so much information from that kick, you know. So this can bring a lot of cohesion. Don't do it with a C2 or something like that with the sidechain because the kick will not enter. And you see now there's the C3 that just came out and they put that function. They put like a ghost trigger to have that function, not losing anything, you know, because before it was not working. And the C3 is like maybe 6 months ago. So with that function, you can go here and you select the range frequency you don't want to be compressed, but still entering the compression, okay? And you go like this. So all that part from 20, I would say, so from 0 Hertz to 130 Hertz will go on the compression without losing information, okay? So let's go, maybe we can try, and let's see how the kick and bass will go with this. But they are like already really glued, no, together. But let's try to make a bit of... You see the kick is entering, okay? And we are losing like 2 dB. So this gives a little bit of more cohesion, kick and bass together without touching, without losing transient, bassline, low information, because it's already really nice for me. You know? So if I go with the other shelf, now you can feel it a little bit better, like a lot of definition. So frequency dependent ratio allows me to choose any range frequency that will go into the compressor, into the compressor without losing volume or without being like too compressed. I don't want to compress my kick and bass line. They're already like almost perfect. I just want more cohesion. And I will not do it, I will not probably do it with a C2 or normal compression, which not using like a FDR. FDR, for 1 dB in, you have 1 dB out, entering the compression. Okay, really nice on the bus, you know, and things like that, you know, like so now we are like at -10 because we are like limiting, make it ready to play. But if I'm quitting this and this, we are like at maybe -6, -5, yeah, something like that. So it's like kind of the good path, the good way to achieve a nice pre-master, no? Before sending to the mastering engineer, no? There was also, I'm using a lot Reason lately. It was also, I was doing something else from the original track. I was doing like that. This one is nice also. Also, this is like chat. Boom, nice. Yes, Mike. Yes, I hope you learned a few things here, but do not hesitate to ask me some question. Yes, so I'm also using a lot Reason lately because Reason is part of the mentoring. Reason has been like a really nice answer to Ableton Max for Live. You know, Max for Live for me is sometimes a little bit too experimental. It's missing a lot of, it's missing a little bit of musicality. You know. So Reason is really nice, really nice. I'm using a lot. You will see it if you come with me with that small mentoring that's starting like beginning of May. I will send some information. But most of that mentoring is based on mixing, also that kind of little mastering as I showed you with that little trick, and try to have like that autonomy that maybe you're gonna have, maybe that with more than limiting a track, maybe almost mastering your own track to be independent, to share it on on your platform and that kind of thing. So that mentoring is really based on the time we don't have anymore and the autonomy we want to get. But in any aspect, in aspect of distribution, instead of production and creativity. So that's the thing. Let's say maybe you want to have like some. Maybe I'll propose you also like to maybe we can have some question, some Q&A question because kick and bass have been like really fast, but I can repeat it 100 times. But if you have some question on your enjoy the time we have together to ask me some question, maybe some doubts, things you want to know in mixing, trajectory, career, or I can go to this, or I can go to that. I'm doing this since more than 20 years and still like quite happy with what I'm doing. So try to ask me some question. I'm in the chat now. Thank you. You don't use auto dynamic in Pro Q3. Auto dynamic, no. Auto dynamic, I can use it sometime, but with a kick and bass line, I like to be triggered by a trigger. Sometimes. For Jérôme, for Sanskrit. Auto dynamic, iPhone de Luciano. So auto dynamic sometimes, but with kick and bass. But with kick and bass, I like to have the kick as a trigger. The big tips I gave you today, guys, is when you duck your bass line, if the bass line have some stereo information, some side, active the mid. Try to activate the mid of the C2, whatever plugin you're going to use. This is really nice. Sometimes, but we can like the kick as a trigger. Okay. Beam. Yes, Mike. It will be a replay. It will be a replay that I will send on Monday maybe with a gift to say thank you to all the people who came today. There is like a really nice gift. The gift I can tell you now because you are with me. It's an EP from me, Julien. You know me. You know that group that we made with Sonic beginning of the 90s. So it's an EP of Sonic and I, never released but never published, that I've been remastering myself. You know that I'm remastering a lot of things. I'm recycling a lot of audio. This is part also of the mentoring. I show you everything about my edit, bootleg, rework. So this was an old EP of Sonic and I. You know Sonic. You know his career was like almost like not Garnier but really big French DJ. Was my mentor, and we made a band called Ultrafex. So I will remaster those 3 tracks, and we will be also like in your gift of the replay. I will send it to everyone to say thanks. Just before, I had a question from. I didn't fully get the point about the few effects you used before the L2 limiter with soft clipping. What is it for, and what else? What do you try to achieve, and why does it matter? Really good question. Clipping will light clipping. Because we are not like on a drum bus, we are like on the stereo bus, the end of the chain. Light clipping allows me to get a light also or drastic limitation without squashing my transient, which is the key, no? Which is like the secret of the clipper, without squashing my transient. Really important. Otherwise, you will never go to that loudness by your own. I mean, you will give it to a mastering engineer if you send it at -3, -6 dB. But if you want to have it for you, like for your friend, or play it in a club in 2 hours, but you don't want to have like the limitation, like boom and this of limitation, because the track is not going to be good, and you're going to be like frustrated and say, "What the fuck? My mixdown was nice." You go with that clipping. It's gonna clip. It's going to cut. No, it's not limiting. Limiting is going to limit. Limiting applying like a C wheel, like a limit. Okay, but clipping is cutting the thing that almost us as a human being we cannot like hear it. If you do it drastically, you're going to feel some artifacts, some distortion, some really bad things, some noise. But if you're doing like properly, you're going to allow your limiter because limit mastering is all about limiting at the end of the day. There's not so much things to do before. I mean, if the mix down is nice, there's few things to do before. We will do the kind of things we do also in the mentoring with a 4-module called Reverse Engineer. It's all about limiting. So you want your limiter. You don't want this of limiting. You want this minus 1 dB, minus 2 dB, 3 dB to have exactly the same cessation when you was doing your mix down, when you was mixing your track. So clipping allows me to do that without scratching the transient. We will cover this into the mentoring without scratching the transient. You can lose a bit the transient with the clipper. A bit of the transient, but it's really like the end of the transient. A bit of the transient, but almost unperceivable. Matteo, you ask me. No, I don't know how do we say imperceptible, unperceivable. I don't know, but I think you understand me, Matteo. You can lose it a little bit, but it's going to be the same sensation. As soon as you start to listen some artifact, it means that you clipping too much, or it means that maybe you didn't transient shape your sound before. You don't have to quit all the transient with the clipping at the end. You have to do some transient shaping. I'm using a lot because spliff is too expensive for me. I don't have the money to buy spliff, so I'm using a lot multiplicity from DMG. It's amazing to have my transient all together and mid side mode. Amazing result with multiplicity. Yes, from DMG. A bit of transient, but almost impossible. Yes, for Matteo. Theo, you were starting to ask me something, and you quit the question, or I don't see the question.
Oh, okay. And I was
tell me it in English, and I try to answer also now. Let me know.
Yeah,
for the snare, you were saying for the snare.
Yeah, it's just like how you handle the snare, mixing the snare, because I used to like cut a lot of low frequency and it was too much, so I didn't have like this feeling like snare, like acoustic snare.
Thickness. Yeah, yes.
Yeah, exactly.
So the key point from the snare, and it's a little bit like a answer for Matteo, is try to have it a little bit shaped before the chain where you're going to treat it a lot. What does it mean? It means transient shaping a lot. That, for example, spliff or multiplicity from DMG. I will if I have time, I will make a demo with you. But it's like magic. So you can reduce some of the transient into mid or side mode or stereo mode, only in a specific point, but really fast, really transparent. So if you want to get that punch of that snare, first, I will not compress it, because if you compress, snare is already a lot really compact. And also the key is not only about the snare, but if you see the beginning of that masterclass, I quit 180, 200 of that Jomox kick where the snare is going to clash. That way, that snare is still really like high and loud. If you listen to the mix of Enzo, where he was playing my track at Boiler Room like 6 days ago, the snare was like almost like really predominant. It's because also make some space with the kick behind. You have to make some space with the kick, in mid, So try to see where the kick, because you have the fundamental, all the bass frequency, and sometimes you have the carton impact, the transient. The attack of the kick is not located at 60 and 80. It's always located between 150, 200. That's the reason all the time we said we have to quit some 200, some mudness, some muddy. Me, sometimes I don't like to quit it. But if you have a big snare like this, like snare, funk snare, or if you do a break beat, try to make some space onto the kick. You're gonna see that you can have it loud, and it's gonna pick less. Okay, so I'm gonna answer like did I answer to you, Matteo? But the things you said, like quitting all the bass frequency, you lose the thickness. Yeah, totally. I don't do it also. But of course, if there's a lot of signals, you won't get the snare that loud. It have to be like not a bit minimal, the track. If you want to have some big signals really in front, you don't have to, the track doesn't have to, doesn't have to go like more than 50, 60, 70 channel, because otherwise it's impossible. Loudness is all about making some space between all the signal into that triangle, no, into that 3D. So if you don't have space, it's like the same if we are talking together around that table. If one is speaking loud, no one is hearing it. No one is like, you understand no one. But if you have some space between everyone, you can put loudness to all that ensemble of sound. Okay, so one question to Hippo. How can you enter the electronic techno house music studio environment? Like it seems that a lot of DJ that electronic producer mix their own songs. I guess there's not a lot of electronic music mixing studio in Europe. True. It is hard to enter this market and find a place here. Whoa. So there's two classes at the end of the mentoring for that, is how you can get authority, how you can get visibility with a real segmentation without depending of ads and making some weird thing on the web, like things we don't want to see. We just want to have some good music and quality music made by good producers. So it's not that hard, it's not that difficult to enter. It's just like you have to build your own segmentation with your music. Okay. So if you pay too much ad on the track, you're gonna get some followers, some segment that is not exactly fitting with your music. If you start with some free download or some nice rework, nice things on your SoundCloud, you're gonna get the real segmentation without paying ad, because those people are coming for the music, not coming because of any weird algorithm on Instagram or Meta. Okay, they're coming for the real segmentation. It's a bit like the turtle way of growing. It's a bit slower, but it's much more solid. Look at me. I'm 49. I'm not that big. I'm not that small. I'm still here. People are respecting me. I'm a student. I'm selling some record. I have my Bandcamp really, really working well, because except the last 2 weeks, because I wanted to have some people on my masterclass, I never did some ads. It's only about my music. Because the music is from my heart since the day one. So as soon as you are sincere with what you do, it's not that hard to enter any the good music, as Villalobos said, doesn't have to be so marketed. You don't need marketing for good music. Good music is going by your own in the right people. Sometimes it's a bit more difficult now because maybe there's like 10 producers that doing amazing music and we don't know them because there's saturation of information everywhere. But if it's good, trust me, they're going to be on Bandcamp and everyone is going to buy their music. Example, I was mastering like music from a friend. He started from zero on Bandcamp. He had a little bit of reputation on Beatport. I was releasing his music in L'Avion Rose back then, to me, 2016, 2017. He made 700 euros on the first release without any network on Bandcamp. One release. I said, wow, I mastered the release. So I was so happy. And his name is Frisky Business, producer from London, Italian guy, really talented, like bit like Gene on Earth style, blah blah blah. And he sold one release. He did not the first one. So it's not that Hippo. It's not that hard to enter that world. Yes, it's only about like home studio. There's no so much big studio for us because it's a lot of money, or we are not like making EDM, so we don't have the money to pay a big studio. But as soon as you get your mixing good, your nice 2-3 first free download, you're gonna have the right segmentation. It's a bit slower. Yes. I hope that I answer to you, Hippo, but I can go longer and longer because I have so many examples coming into my mind. Ignacio, the drums from Mars are okay for kick and snare. Drums from Mars, I saw them in my timeline. Yes, but it's already polished and compressed. So as soon as you get everything sounds perfect, but you don't have to equalize nothing. You don't have to quit. You don't have to sculpt. It means like you're going to make a track with the sound of Mars. It's not the sound exactly the sound of you. It's like the new plugin, really nice. I mean, like you want to make a track in 10 minutes with this. Is the vinyl house drum from Midbeat. You saw that plugin vinyl house drum. It's really nice. Everything sounding like this. It went in all the big studio in LA. It have some sound like this. You're gonna make some UK garage, all the fashion house, blah 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 blah. But at the end of the day, you sound like many people, like the UK house, like a little bit like the UK nice minimal house now, a bit like, I don't want to say bullshit because I love this guy, a little bit like Josh Baker and all this kind of thing. So it's going to be the sound of vinyl house drum. So library, be careful. I'm not so much of library. I never use any library because when library is finished, what you're going to do? You didn't learn to sculpt. You didn't learn to personalize your sound. You didn't learn how to listen, how to say, I want that color, I want that bass, I want that I want that kick because this kick is like this, this kick is like that. I prefer even with a small drum machine at 500 or 600 euros to record it rather than library because you're going to record it with default, with muddy, with things you don't want, you don't expect with your bad sound card, but it's going to be like much more organic, much more naturel, no, as we say in French. Tristan, can you talk a little bit about Reason Rack? Looks very creative. Oh, Reason Rack. Oh, guys. The only shit with Reason Rack now, they've been bought by Lender. So Lender, you know, get all the family, all the 250 consumers of Reason, and they try to make a little bit of marketing, blah, blah, blah. I hope that they're going to let the ecosystem, the laboratory of Reason intact. But it's okay, you know, they've been bought by Lender 6 months ago. Lender is like, you know, like it's a Canada company making some mastering online, blah, blah. It's good, but it's much more like, you know, it's not my cup of tea, but they're doing good work. So Reason is amazing, Tristan. Reason, we cover 3 classes of Reason into the mentoring session starting beginning of May. And I can tell you, I can show you like a testimonial of a friend, the things we saw with Reason, it was like amazing. Reason for sure has been like a game changer with because it's like 2 things about Reason and Ableton. So this is my friend who made like the mentoring with me, Tony, nice producer from Malaga. 2 things about Reason and Max for Live. So me, I was like touching a little bit the limit of Max for Live with all those small rectangles, doing some random thing, blah blah blah. I'm kind of dinosaur, no, coming from the late 90s. So I was like, okay, so what kind of things I can do with Max for Live? It's okay, you know. I like Skinner box. I like the smile, blah blah, doing some bassline, blah 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 blah. It's okay. But I was feeling no musicality, too experimental, too wild. I'm not like a geek, you know, like I didn't born like 10 years ago or 20 years ago. I born like 49 years ago. So I was missing some musicality and some control. Reason have some like mini MIDI generator, mini sequencer, mini creativity environment, and all modular. Not like the Euro rack, but you can patch everything together and make your own rack, okay? It misses a little bit of signal. Everything is a bit compressed. It's really digital, but it's also the charm because when you mix it with analog, for example, there's like a big gap, but it's cool to mix them together because it gives that contrast that sometimes our brain needs. So Reason, game changer. MIDI generator, game changer. Forget about all the sequencer, even all the Max for Live sequencer, all that small rectangle. Now you have like things like this, Reason like this, you can go like that. And it's like amazing. I never saw, because I was using it like end of the 90s, but they make some update. Now they're like at the 14, Reason 14. I let Reason at Reason 0.4, 0.3, 0.5, like beginning of 2000. We let it because it was like a little bit, I don't know, because Ableton arrived. And so Reason, yes, Tristan, you can go like 200%. I know your music, and I'm going to answer about your track. I really like. We're going to make something together. You can go like 120% time. Penny, when you're adding extra drum element, that have some frequency, how do you keep them having energy and depth to the track without affecting kick and bass relationship? But answering, like I would say, the things I said at the beginning of the class, when you do all that chain, hitting -5, -6, transient controlled, not so much attack or spike, because uncontrolled spike, they can destroy the mix. Go with a frequency dependent sidechain like a track spacer, you know. Track spacer is like really transparent, but not at the beginning of the chain, because it quit all the DNA, it quit all the life for me, you know, for me. The things I really like to do, another tips. As soon as I get my mono, for example, kick, bass, and snare, I like to have them in mono, and they're going to be like the track driving my track. I like to make another maybe sub bus or 2-3 sub bus with a lot of treatment, blah blah, transient, nice sound, not too much spike, everything controlled, not like this but controlled. And I like to make them trig with a track spacer by my kick, bass, and snare. The things that I did with the MB that I quit because I didn't have my track spacer here on the studio. So track spacer is nice to do the things you ask me, Penny, but after the chain, not at the beginning of the chain. It will solve what you're asking for sure. For sure. It's a kind of magic, this guy. Huh? They are like a Spanish guy. Hippo, artist page, blah, 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 blah. Tristan, you convinced me. Reason is amazing. Yeah, Oliver was with us for the mentoring, and we had like a blast with Reason, and I was almost discovering thing live with the student. There were like some bassline coming with some chords completely in scale. So you have all that scale things also. No, Reason, guys, it asks a little bit of repetition and a little bit of understanding, because you have to understand how it works. Nothing crazy. It's good to mix both worlds. Reason as a standalone, not sure. It's cool to mix both worlds with Ableton and Reason, because you're going to get max for life. And also sometimes when I'm bored a little bit of Ableton, I'm doing Logic and Reason, because now Reason is kind of a VST. You can put it everywhere. So before it was like Rewire. Remember Rewire? Now Rewire is finished, that protocol. And now it comes like a big plugin. So you have a kind of a second world in parallel coming into your DAW. It's amazing. I let you the
Hola, ¿qué tal? Soy Tony Buga, productor de música electrónica, y desde aquí, desde
Tony
mi
made the
estudio
mentoring
de
with us, and he
producción
discovered
en
also
Marbella, Málaga. Pues
Reason.
vengo a hablaros a todos de mi experiencia en el curso de Smart Operation con TERENCE que acabo de terminar. Bueno, deciros que yo es un curso que realmente recomiendo. A mí la verdad que es un curso que me ha ayudado bastante. Gracias a él, la verdad que ahora, y gracias a lo que se ven los módulos tanto de creatividad como mastering como social media, me siento
So that kind of thing,
mucho
you
más
know,
cómodo
this
a
is
la
the
hora de
kind of thing
sentarme en el estudio,
we saw in the mentoring.
de generar ideas, me siento muchísimo más fluido.
Tony, I signed Tony for Melodium label in Chicago, because I'm consulting and giving a lot of help. I'm consulting a few labels, maybe you know, but I'm not going to tell everyone. I don't have to tell you. And so Tony, I helped him to sign on Melodium 2 years ago. And he came back to the mentoring we start in February with Oliver, which is online. Oliver, really nice producer also from France, doing kind of indie techno, but amazing. And that kind of thing, guys. So let me know if you have more question. Yes, Tristan, I convince you. More question, more details, more things about mixing or whatever you need, guys. I can stay like 10 minutes more if you want. If there's no so much question, I want to tell you, like, you have the PDF of my kick and bass chain. So also I'm gonna share with you a little thing about like the mentoring. Even if you don't want to come, but you know that there is this mentoring coming in into like 1 week, where we're gonna cover many things So this is smart operation, you know, the time and autonomy we don't have anymore. I really build that mentoring of maybe 10, 8 class to be a little bit faster with some reason, and also to have really like some nice, really big value tips of mixing and almost mastering, and autonomy in a way like how you want to distribute your music without depending of an affirmation of a label, of a decision of a label. We don't want to be like dependent of a label saying no or yes, okay? We want to be independent. We want to build our real segmentation with our own distribution. You have Bandcamp, but there is also 2-3 kind of Bandcamp coming. There is Subvert coming. Also, we were speaking a lot about Subvert. It's going to be like amazing to distribute your own music when you finish a track and get like almost 80% of your music, of the money. I mean, like, so autonomy in that way with the own distribution. So yes, the chapter 1 is like stabilizing the sound, about mixing and mastering. Chapter 2 is with that Reason application. It's not IA, it's that new app integrated. And the chapter 3 is becoming autonomous across the whole process. The thing I'm saying, you know. So autonomous in terms of sound, in terms of mastering. You can share your track and make a free download and be like interesting on your social, on your SoundCloud. SoundCloud is like the key of everything for us as a producer. And you can be also autonomous in terms of distribution. Okay, so you can distribute your music, and it's really important in 2026 to be independent, not depending on a label. This is exactly the thing I will think about in 2026 if I have to share my music. Okay, that kind of thing. This is smart operation. Last question from Tristan. And about drum machine, which one do you advise for a fair price? Getting something like TR8S or going with old one? MPC 2000. Don't go with TR8S. MPC. Not the last one. Old MPC. The MPC 1000, MPC 2000. A bit like the dinosaur to program and blah, blah, blah. And you're going to get directly a sound. Tristan or Jomox. You can have a really nice Jomox for less than 1000. I mean, in minimal techno, there's a lot of space between the samples. Yes. What will you be your best advice for preserving that space? I tend to overfill it. My best advice, I know your music, Jérôme, is exactly. I will say exactly I will stay and I will go exactly the same philosophy. You're applying it to your music right now. If there's not so much signal, the space will be there. You know, the only thing you have to be aware of is the kick. I would say kick and snare and bass. You know, bass not that much because bass is occupying some space, but more kick and snare. The first transient that they're gonna hit the C wheel, you know. But go with your L2 on your pre-listen things, you know. How do you create your bass pattern? Sometimes with my fingers, most of the time. Sometimes with my fingers, and most of the time with the lately, not so much with Skinner Box and Max for Life things. Lately, an idea from Reason, and I redraw it, I reshape it. I play with the square, and I like to have sometimes musical bassline. I try to get a little bit more musical because I did a lot of hypnotic music. So you know, so sometimes I get a little bit bored. But with Reason, I get that musical aspect really fast that I can't do by myself, that I can't do by my own, even with the best chord player, with the best Max for Live generator module, for sure. Thanks to you, Jérôme. I will, both Jérôme Sanskrit and Jérémy. Jérémy, I see you soon. You already subscribed to the mentoring. We're going to start soon. So thanks for everyone who joined. Diego, I will send you a message. Tristan, also, I can give you some more details. Theo, also, you will receive some information about what you need. Diego, also, whatever, guys. Thanks to Masterclass, a lot of value received. Can't wait to start the mentoring. Yes, me too. I will send the replay anyway into the group WhatsApp and also into the email. You will have it. If you are here, it's because I have the contact, I have your name, I have the email, I have the everything I need. Okay. So, Diego, Théo, Jérémy, Julien, Plaisir de France. Julien, tu connaissais déjà tout ce qu'on a dit, non? Tu t'es un petit peu emmerdé, non? Ok, ok. It makes me some pleasure to see you, Julien. Bauti, I make the correction that week for the four mixes you sent. Okay, retokes are coming, and guys, I wish you like a lovely Matia. I wish you a lovely Sunday. Thanks for you to come, and we talk soon. Okay, I will take the replay. You will have the replay with everything. Okay. Bye bye. Bye bye. Bye bye. Have a nice Sunday. Bye bye.